30 years ago, we had a vision that before we passed from this world, that people like he and I could meet together, greet together in fraternal friendship. I'm so happy that I, in my position, have the opportunity to present him this award. The 132nd Annual Pennsylvania Council of Deliberation, PHA, AASR of Freemasonry, Northern Jurisdiction, USA Incorporated, in recognition of my friend, my fraternal brother, Right Worshipful Past Grand Master Samuel C. Williamson, for his efforts in causing his presence here today. Every event in this phase called life has an alpha and omega. The alpha of this event began in April 1983, beginning the evolution of Masonic recognition history in Pennsylvania. And whereas in 1983, Masonic recognition and fraternalization in Pennsylvania between the Grand Lodges was non-existent, and whereas in April 1983, past Grand Master Samuel Williamson and past Grand Master George M. Calloway, serving as Grand Masters of their respective Grand Lodges, were equally concerned about this situation and began a process of recognition within their control. And whereas that process was the granting of permission for their youth groups to fraternize together in July 1983 at the Patton campus in Elizabethtown, PA, and whereas that beginning has resulted in the evolution which resulted in the granting of Masonic recognition to the Prince Hall Grand Lodge of Pennsylvania by the Grand Lodge of England in 1997, after which both Grand Lodges agreed to recognize each other, and whereas the granting of recognition to each other resulted in the United Supreme Council, Northern Jurisdiction, Prince Hall Affiliation, and the United Supreme Council, Northern Masonic Jurisdiction, granting recognition to each other by an agreement in principle made in 1995 to have fraternal recognition in jurisdictions where Grand Lodges agreed to recognize each other. And therefore, based upon that agreement and the fact that I, as the Grand Master, involved initially in the present illustrious deputy for the Orient of Pennsylvania, do hereby recognize the key role played by you in getting us to this point, and further grant you honorary membership in this Council of Deliberation with the right to receive all of the honors pertaining to your position. In testimony thereof, I have caused the seal of this Pennsylvania Council of Deliberation to be afforded on this 9th day of November 2013 at the 132nd Annual Convocation in Erie, Pennsylvania. Attest, Grand Inspector General William W. McCoy, 33rd degree, Illustrious Grand Secretary, Sovereign Grand Inspector General George M. Calloway, 33rd degree, Illustrious Deputy for the Orient of Pennsylvania.
Sovereign Grand Commander and Most Worshipful Grandmaster, I'm usually not at a loss for words. That has been my strong suit, but I'm quite honored and really humbled that this is done. 30 years ago, it was a problem, and it weighed on my heart that I couldn't associate with other people who were just as much a Masonic brother as I was. And I prayed and knew that something had to be done. And fortunately, I had the good fortune of serving at the same time that this Masonic giant did. And we were able to start in a small way a journey that took a few years, but it finally came about. And I've had the great pleasure of working with so many of the Grand Masters in Prince Hall that I've come to admire and respect over the years, and consider them as much a brother as I would any other member. And you know, there's something about Masonry for all of us. It's not in the ritual, and it's not in the dress that we wear, but it's that common bond that when we meet, we know that we're brothers. And it doesn't matter what Grand Lodge we are in, what race we are, we have that common bond. We know that we're brothers when we see a brother. And that certainly speaks well. And in Pennsylvania, I'm just so proud that we both can enjoy the real brotherhood of Masonry. And hopefully we'll see this continue and grow and grow. And I might say, put in a pitch, this happened because we were interested in our youth organizations. And Brother Calloway and I both said, we can't maybe change the old heads, but the youngsters, those are the ones we ought to work on. And we started, and lo and behold, it was a great success. And I might say to all you Masons and ladies, that if you want to stay young, get involved with our youth groups and work with these young people. You never know what's going to happen. You never know what they're going to say. Brother LeBlanc and I went out to Indiana, the state of Indiana, to an affair, a Masonic affair, and there was a group of DeMolay young people there, and they said, would you stay and just shake hands with these young DeMolays before we leave? And I said, yes, we'll be glad. They were going through the line, and just about to the end, this young fellow said, my little brother had to go to the bathroom. Will you wait and shake his hand? Little did I know, when he come running across the floor, I reached down and I shook his hand. I said, son, you didn't dry your hand after you washed. He said, I didn't wash.